First I want to thank Jim for all his kind words and being my lead-in to my presentation results or whatever. And also the committee members for voting me in, because I understand it's pretty strict. There's like 11 people on the committee and you got to have 9 votes to make it. So I'm honored to be selected. I never really thought I would ever be, put in, but the honor was just mind-blowing. I'm going to give you kind of a little recap of my life. Started early playing both golf and basketball. My dad put up a some 2x4s behind and with a goal in our driveway. Where my brother, I have an older brother, he died last year, unfortunately. We would shoot baskets almost every night, because back then there was nothing on TV because there wasn't a TV. If you were lucky enough to have a TV, you had a little screen and, so we did that. Or we'd go to the golf course and play. My dad and mom both were golfers. My brother was a golfer. I was a golfer, so we were like a family. We'd go out there when we weren't shooting baskets. One of the things that we talk about was that I was on the varsity for 4 years. Well, technically, I was only on the varsity for 3.5 years because I started out on the B team, and about halfway through the season, Jim Poley, who was our center at the time, got undercut and came down on his posterior, and he broke the bone in his lower back. And so they started looking around, and there was nobody really tall on the varsity, so the coach came and said, "Hey, from now on you're on the varsity," which was, which is fine. I wasn't going to argue with him. Jim talked about Coach Myers showing me how to shoot and everything. Well, there was another way I learned that. My parents sent me to Camp Don Bosco. I don't know if you know out around Hillsboro, just a little bit north of Hillsboro. Easy Ed McCauley had a basketball camp out there. It lasted for a week, and in the morning they would be teaching you like how to dribble, how to shoot. And then at night you had games. They would divide up the players, and we would participate in different plays. So I got a lot of experience that way. And he always invited some celebrity. One year it was Jerry West. One year it was Bill Bradley. And so here you are, you're a 13, 14-year-old kid, and you're getting to talk to and play against the guys that were some of your idols. And so that was really neat. I really couldn't believe that my parents would do that. But they always looked after my brother and me and made sure that anything we wanted or would help, they would come through. Now, back to the Crystal City game. Coach Myers had put together a play where he was under the pretense that Crystal City would full court press the ball because we only had 2.5, 3 seconds to get down the court and shoot. So he would have Mike Brady under the left side of the basket, stand out of bounds, and he was going to get the ball first. I was going to then be on the other side of the basket, out of bounds too, where he could throw it to me, and because we were both out of bounds, there was no penalty or anything. the other three guys were supposed to come down and set a three-man screen for Mike. Mike was supposed to be the one running down the court, not me. I was supposed to throw him the ball, and then we figured he would have a layup. So when we got out on the floor, the kids from Crystal were all staying in the back. They stayed on their side of half court. So I'm telling Mike, I said, this isn't gonna work. So I said, instead of you throwing it to me, or me throwing it to you, watch me. I'm gonna run straight down the middle of the court, throw it, I'll get it, I'll try to shoot, and the rest was history, you know. So, but everybody's always thought that it was a play that our coach had made up, but this was really just a make-up play on the yeah. In the little brochure that everybody got, talked about how I also did track. Back when I was in high school, if you played football, you had to run track. If you played basketball, you had to run track because they wanted you to have an experience all year long. You know, which made sense. I was primarily a runner, 220 yards, or 440. My junior year, it's raining like crazy. The mineral area track meets here, like it seemed like every year the mineral area, it rained. The coach came to me and said, hey, we're in a tight duel with kids from Fredericktown. And they have a trophy and everything. And could you run the 880? And I said, well, yeah, I can probably run it, but I don't know how good I'm going to do. He said, well, if you could get us a couple of points, that's all we need. And I said, okay, I'll do it. So I started out, they shot the gun. We all started around the first curve. And raining was so hard, there's water all over the track. And as the cinders of the track back then, they're all throwing it, it's thrown up in my face. And I'm like, I don't like this. So I just went around everybody. And I thought, I'm just going to run as fast as I can for as long as I can and see what happens. Well, go around the first lap. Nobody's ever close to me. I'm looking around, about halfway around the second, I look over and they're like a quarter of at least 100 yards behind me. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. And I come around the far turn, and our coach, Rodney Mills, he's running, don't fall. Listen, this is track, I'm not going to fall. But then I found out later that because there was some water, all the water, there were several competitors that had tripped and fell, and they knocked each other out of the race. So that really helped my chances of winning. Let's see what else. Oh, that same year, I qualified for state in the 440 and went up to Jeff City and actually qualified for the finals. And so it was back, the track was one where you had to stay in your lane the whole lap. So we take off and I'm running and there's nobody, I don't see anybody on the inside of me because I was one of the slowest times that made it into the race. So we get done and I'm thinking, man, I think I did really well. The coach comes up and he said, what, didn't have your A game today? And I go, well, what do you mean? I said, nobody passed me. Well, no, they were all done before you ever got done. I think I got 7th out of 8 ranked. I couldn't beat one person. because of my history and my record and everything, I got a basketball scholarship to Oklahoma State University. And one of the reasons I did it was because Hank Iva was there. Everybody was talking about what a great coach he was. Well, it didn't take me long after I got down there that he was so intent on having a good defensive team. That's all he wanted to do was, we would have a 3-hour practice, and we may not touch the ball for 2.5 hours of the practice because we were doing defensive drills, how to move, how to, block out. He'd say, "Okay, rebound." And you're supposed to block out your opponent, and it wasn't fun anymore. When you're growing up and you're playing a sport that you really like, it's fun. And it didn't turn out that way. And luckily, my sophomore year, I knew some of the, because the athletes all had their own dorm back then. I got them in with some of the golfers. And they said, "Well, why don't you come out and sign up and try to make the team?" And I said, "I'm not that good." They said, "Yeah, you are, because I played with a couple of them." So I went out, did some qualification and ended up making the team and then transferring my basketball scholarship to a golf scholarship for my last 2 years. I've had 6 hole-in-ones, and people marvel at that. Well, I think about it. I look at it back and I go, well, I started when I was 6. I didn't get my first hole-in-one until I was 64. So it took me 58 years to get a hole-in-one. But then after that, it was easy for some reason. I end up right now, I've got 6. But, the 6 hole-in-ones were great. I had a lot of, fun, a lot of hard work to get them. But the one moment in golf that I liked the most was there was a tournament that was run at one of the country clubs at St. Louis, Normandy. Back that time it was a private course, and they had the Michelob Match Play Championship there. And match play is where, like, if I was playing with my son, you play by hole. So if I have a 5, he has a 4, he won the hole. And the idea is to win more holes than your opponent. And if it's like, if you won 3 more holes than your son, than my son, and there's only 2 left, you won. And it's just like kind of the basketball, where they had the brackets. They had a 64-person bracket where you were going back and forth. And, I qualified an amazing 56 out of 64. I wasn't playing very well. And we go into match play. Well, the first match, I win. And I'm going, oh, okay, that's good. The next match, I win. I win 3 more matches. So now I'm in the final. It's going to a 36-hole final, and I'm getting to play the defending champion, this young kid, college kid, who's now pro out in Arizona. And I'm thinking, man, if I can stay close for the first 18 holes, if I'm 2 or 3 down, I still don't have a chance. So I just got to play my best. So we take off. We get done with the first 18, and I said, yeah, I think I may be ahead. And he goes, yeah, you're 5 up. So, needless to say, even though I tried to give it away, I didn't. And I actually won the tournament. And I've got a golf bag where it's got my name on it with Michelob, but it's one of these huge bags that, when I played, I carried the clubs. So never used this bag. It's been hanging in the basement on the rack for 20 plus years. But that's pretty much it. I'm really, like I said before, I'm really honored to be, made a member of the Hall of Fame. Oh, one other thing, another story. You'll like this one. My mom, everybody was talking about my mom being their best teacher and all this. I've heard that all my life, Well, she taught me too, 7th grade math. And first day of the year, she told me, she said, now look, I'm going to be your teacher. You can call me Mrs. Thomas. I don't want you to call me Mrs. or anything. He said, just Mrs. Thomas. I said, well, I think I can do that. So, I don't know if any of you guys can remember, when she was teaching math, on Fridays, she would have like a fun day where they would divide the class in that 2 sections, and you'd have games. It'd be like, I would go up against you, and I would be, she'd go, okay, here's the question. She'd have questions made out. Well, she came in one Friday and goes, we're not having math quizzes today or anything. I go, we're all going, well, why? Well, you guys, your grades weren't good enough. And if you're not going to really get serious about your grades, then we're not going to have this anymore. So, of course, I have to raise my hand. She goes, yes. I go, teach. Why can't we have this fun time? She goes, excuse me? I go, teach. So she comes walking back, and I'm sitting in one of those desks, that had the table that would fold up, and she goes, say that again. And I go, teach. Why can't we put? She goes, wait. Right in the face, knocks me out of the chair. And I never called her teaching again. Thank you very much.